looking at the market very closely today, we noticed that the market has continued its downward trend, which for us is worrying because in recent past, we've noticed that volumes have gone down, and we've noticed that the kind of activities that we had seen in the recent past has sort of slowed, and there's a lull in the market right now. And what we noticed also is that the main volume drivers, which were the foreign investors, are no longer putting in bids as they used to, and that has adversely affected the market. We're tempted to think that this might be an offshoot of what is happening in Europe, but only time will tell what is really happening to the market right now.
In the meantime, we do have the stocks that continue to gauge attention, particularly in the financial arena. We've seen results continuing to filter through, one of them yesterday being Wemabank. So let's go through those numbers specifically and what the market has made of those numbers.
Well, for Wemabank, you will remember that just recently, about June last year, another group of investors took over the bank called the SW8 investors. And since then, they've been running the bank. And so by next month, they would have been running the bank for a whole year. From the results that they showed, which ended 31st December 2009, which invariably was just 6 months of running the bank, we see that their numbers in terms of net income has done a bit better, howbeit they're still in the red of about 7 billion naira. But what is worrying about the number is that they have a negative net assets of about 44 billion naira. Now, how they are going to recover from this, it's difficult to see, because you will remember that the CBN had given Wemabank and Unity Bank some time to recapitalize the banks. I wonder where the investors are going to get that sort of amount of money to be able to recapitalize the bank. It's worrying that 44 billion naira in negative net assets.
Yeah.
It's very worrying.
Well, we know that a lot of attention has been thrown in terms into the fact that we're going to be possibly seeing merger and acquisition activity on the Nigerian banking front. We haven't, though, heard any rumorings of this coming more forcefully onto the agenda. So what are you anticipating in that regard?
Well, maybe the Wemabank numbers will give us a light into some sort of idea into what is happening about the mergers and acquisition that we expected. We knew that in recent past, some people had gone into, especially the 8 troubled banks, to do some due diligence in terms of trying to find out what is the intrinsic values of these companies, of these banks, in terms of taking them over, in terms of acquiring them. But since after that, there's been a lull in activities in terms of M&A. One is tempted to think that they've seen more than they can chew in those banks. But it's also curious to notice that we haven't quite seen the numbers of some of those banks, apart from Finbank, I believe. Finbank also has a negative net assets of over $1 billion. Now, that's a lot for an investor. So we might not see the M&A activities like we had anticipated, but we're watching that space very closely.
Well,